Mr. President, given these modifications that are being made to air travel, the other disruptions with the government shutdown, do you think it's time for Republicans in Congress to change their negotiating position at all?
In what way?
To start making concessions to Democrats?
Well, I think it's time for them to end the filibuster and just put everybody back to work. Vote in voter ID, vote in no mail-in voting except for military, faraway military, and people that are very sick. I'd like to see one-day voting. I'd like to see not 65 days of voting from all over the place. No, I'd like to clean up the elections. The border, we've done a great job. We have a great, strong border now. But I'd like to see new rules on immigration that can be fair and good, you know, but rules that you'll never get, rules that they're never going to get. There's so many things we could put in, including tax cuts that we could get, and we could do it all ourselves. But to do that, you have to end the filibuster. The filibuster.
I'm going to be honest with you. Controversial opinion. I've given up on the Democrats doing this ever. So I'm glad that the Republicans are doing it. Let them do it. Guess what? Right now, you're going to say, oh, but the filibuster could be used as a tool to stop their legislative agenda. Brother, they are not even using the congressional powers at all. He's currently doing whatever he wants to without even using Congress. The only time the Democrats used the filibuster was for Cory Booker to pee in a diaper. Right now, whatever Trump wants in terms of his legislative agenda, he already pushes through the executive office. So at the very least, if the filibuster is gone, then that changes the dynamic of Congress altogether. The filibuster currently is a conservative tool that Republicans use to undermine the agenda of the Democrats, because the Democrats need to build. The Democrats need to pass legislation. They need to fund things. And the Republicans will use the filibuster as a tool. They don't even actually use the filibuster in the way that they're supposed to. The way the filibuster is supposed to work is that it's a process method to basically stop a bill from being passed with a simple majority in the Senate. Because the only way to override the filibuster is a vote that requires more than just a simple majority. Okay? The only way that you're supposed to do it historically is by standing on the floor of the Senate and delivering a speech. Okay? Uninterrupted.
Okay, but let's just be clear here.
Oh.
So first off, there's a couple things. Trump just admitted that it's Republicans who are standing in the way of any type of legislation going forward, right? They have the ability to get rid of the filibuster. They can do this. And then he says, we're going to pass our agenda. What is our agenda? Nothing, except for trying to ensure that we can win the midterms.
Exactly.
I mean, literally nothing. This is also why it would be good for the Republicans to get rid of the filibuster, because Democrats will never do it on their own. They're too cowardly.
Yep.
They're too cowardly. They're too cowardly. And Republicans are afraid of getting rid of the filibuster, too, because once you get rid of the filibuster, you actually, as a political party, have to own your decisions. You have to own them.
And the Republicans don't want to get rid of the filibuster because it benefits them disproportionately. Yeah. We've said this before. You know, under Biden, there were at one point 50 Democratic senators and 50 Republican senators. And the 50 Democratic senators represented 40 million more people than the 50 Republican senators, because Montana has the same number of senators as California does. So it is undemocratic in the construction of the institution. And then you put on another layer of undemocracy of the filibuster needing a 60 vote threshold for most legislation. Yeah.
The first thing you're talking about, that Montana and California have the exact same amount of representation in the Senate, is constitutional. The filibuster
is not.
Is just habit.
Yeah.
That's basically.
It's true. It's not a constitutional. There's no constitutional provision or anything, no constitutional amendment. It's just like something that the Senate decided to do and has continued to do. Okay. Oh, so just following Unk's talking points? What do you mean? Unk and I agree on this issue. What the fuck are you talking about?
And they're looking at a guy with historic unpopularity right now, telling them to give up their major strategic advantage in the Senate because he wants to ram his bill through and doesn't want to have to negotiate with Democrats to save their own ass, by the way. He's worried about the midterms because...
That's it.
That's it.
He doesn't care about anything else.
But rigging it, though, or intimidating his way because he doesn't want to cave. But the problem for him is that if these ACA subsidies, they let them expire, every Republican is going to be up for re-election in the fall in 2026 in the House. They could get wiped out over that. So, I mean, he's putting them in a horrible position, which is actually good. Yeah.
And I think that, you won't see Democrats saying, well, he just admitted that the Republicans, if they don't pass any legislation, it's a function of the Republicans. They have the ability to get rid of the filibuster. And let's be clear, they've done it 3 times already this year.
Yeah. Is there anything stopping them from eliminating the filibuster only to reinstitute it after? Yeah, it's when the Democrats come back into power and they do it on their own because they love hurting their own agenda. What is the purpose of the filibuster? It's just a process method to stop bills from being passed. Technically, the way the filibusters used to work is in the Senate, you can just stop a bill from being passed by taking up space, going to the floor of the Senate and speaking, okay, uninterrupted. And for as long as you could go uninterrupted, you could stop the passage of this bill, okay, by yapping. And the only way to overcome this filibuster was with not a simple majority vote, but instead a supermajority vote. Okay. And historically, people have done funny things, silly things, whatever, right? However, because our gerontocracy has gotten even older than ever before, somewhere along the way, we realized nobody even wants to stand up. So the mere threat of a filibuster was all that was necessary, which is why most of these bills that could be passed with a simple majority do not get passed with a simple majority because everyone threatens that they will filibuster. Now you can just threaten to filibuster it, and like people basically operate as though you need a supermajority to pass bills in Congress because you need a supermajority to stop a filibuster in Congress. That's it. Okay.
They did it to roll back cafe standards, I think it was, in California. There was 2 other times that they literally nuked the filibuster. And they could do it here. And if they do, though, that means Democrats have a license now to do it.
Yeah.
And Chuck Schumer is very afraid of that. There are Democrats who are afraid of that because you don't want like... You need a built-in excuse. That's why Cuomo created the IDC, is because he needed a cover as to why he wasn't signing off on progressive legislation because it would interfere with the donors. Let's get rid of the filibuster. I am with Donald Trump on this. That's the thing. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I agree with Donald Trump. Let's get rid of the filibuster and allow the Republicans to do what they're...
Yes. And a part of the reason why Sam is saying this, and I agree with him on this, is because Republicans already get their fucking agenda across anyway. Like, they're currently passing everything through the executive mandate. Like, it's insane because Republicans don't necessarily need the great deliberative body to, especially when they're in power, they don't need the great deliberative body of the Senate to enact out their agenda. Their agenda is deregulation. Their agenda is tax cuts. They already passed the tax cuts. They did that with simple majority through the funding mechanism, so it doesn't matter, right? For that reason, they low-key are doing whatever the fuck they want to do without the filibuster. So the filibuster in and of itself is only going to be a hurdle for the Democrats down the line if they ever get back into power. Unless, of course, these very same Democrats are trying not to enact a legislative agenda, and they can use the filibuster to claim that they have another hurdle. But yeah, I agree with Uncle Sam on that.
And they'll do it too. They'll immediately do it. What they're going to do is What the Democrats will do is they're going to make Puerto Rico a state. They're going to make D.C. a state. They're going to pack the court. They're going to end up with more electoral votes. They're going to end up with 4 senators because of the 2 states. And they're going to do this 100%. They would have done it, except Manchin and Sinema got in their way. They would have done it. So if they're going to do it, I would do it. I would do it before them.
And you
It's
think
a
that
little
the
like
longer
Israel.
this, the
It's a
longer
little
this-
like Israel. Israel attacked first. That attack was very, very powerful. I
What?
was very much in charge of that.
What
When
the
Israel
fuck?
attacked Iran first, that was a great day for Israel because that attack did more damage than the rest of them put together. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see voter ID. Who wouldn't approve voter ID? The Democrats. Why wouldn't they approve it? Because they cheat. There's only one reason not to. We don't have voter identification. And we should have it. If we got rid of the filibuster, in one day you'd have voter identification. The only reason they don't want it is because they cheat.
A federal judge
He wants to
has ordered
preemptively
President
strike the
Trump to
Democrats,
fully
I think.
fund SNAP benefits for November by tomorrow. Judge John McCall criticized the Trump administration for making partial payments, saying, quote, people have gone without for too long. Not making payments to them for even another day is simply unacceptable. So for more on this, I want to bring in ABC News Washington, D.C. Bureau Managing Editor Catherine Falders, who has been covering this. And Catherine, it's really notable just how much of a rebuke Judge McConnell made here.
Yeah, it really is. It was quite striking. Of course, he probably went, Alex, as far as I've seen any federal judge go, at least in the past few months, over a direct rebuke to the president himself, saying that he believed that Trump expressed this intent to defy a court order. Now, remember, of course, this all comes because McConnell, the judge, had ordered the Trump administration to make these payments. They said they could partially fund these payments. Basically, what happened here is the judge said he was not satisfied with the partial payments that the administration said they could make, and then the obstacles that the administration said that were getting in the way of paying it, meaning they couldn't do it for 2 or 3 weeks or maybe even months. Now, what was so striking to me about this is the judge said the Trump administration ignored his order, of course, to restart the SNAP payments quickly, but the judge attributed that to the president attempting to disrupt the payments for called political reasons here. So very unhappy with the way this was handled. Now, I will say we haven't heard from anybody in the Trump administration yet on this. I could imagine that the Department of Justice may be preparing papers to appeal this ruling. We'll have to go out tomorrow, and that people's cards will be reloaded. I can't imagine that it would happen that quickly. We're at close of business today, but we'll just have to see what happens here next.
Well, and one of the things that we've heard from, a lot of these food pantries where that service SNAP beneficiaries is, even if the faucet's cut back on, there's likely going to be some confusion and some time there. But Catherine, listen, this judge was one of the ones that blocked that another Trump 2.0 executive action earlier this year. He had recently spoken out publicly about 6 credible death threats directed at him in the wake of that. Listen, this is pretty rare seeing a judge speak publicly like this. What more do we know? And is it a surprise that he made this ruling?
Look,
It's so insane that this is how we operate. This is just what our politics is now. Oh, you went up against my God as a judge? Well, here's some death threats. There's a good chance SCOTUS will rule against him on the tariffs. Is there any chance he could finally be impeached and removed if he openly defies them? I feel like just defying a federal judge on SNAP won't be enough. Brother, the sky is the limit. Are court orders anything? Yes, you go to prison. You can be held in contempt of court and go to jail.
I think that on the one hand, right, he has spoken publicly about those death threats, and in the past, obviously, you talk about that other ruling. He's ruled against the Trump administration before. I would think that the judge is separating that and those comments from how he was thinking in ruling as it relates to what was before him in the court the past week or so. Now,
don't worry, all the rest
that's on the front of his mind. I think that the Trump administration, whenever they make a comment about the judge or what, who knows, Trump hasn't said anything about the judge yet, but you know how he feels about judges who rule against him. And I'm sure he's aware potentially of the comments that this judge has made. So that could come up in that way. but I'm not totally surprised by the rule. Not so much because of the comments that the judge has made in the past about these death threats, but because of what on his social media account earlier this week about basically saying that SNAP payments wouldn't go out until the Democrats reopen the government, something that the White House press secretary tried to walk back, but Trump himself has not really clarified.
Yeah.
I'll arrest them.
Catherine Falders, thank you.
Airports across the country are bracing for even more flight cancellations and delays
Oh,
after the FAA announced.
I had this experience this morning, by the way. I had the FAA experience, chatters. I flew in from LaGuardia, which is, of course, a smaller airport than JFK. And while we were sitting on the fucking tarmac, I got cooked. We got a 40-minute delay. I don't even know how the fuck I'm going to get back to LA. And then I don't even know how the fuck I'm going to get to China, too. So we shall see. 40-minute delay means Steam Deck time? No, for me, it wasn't Steam Deck time. 40-minute delay meant sleeping. Because it was early as hell in the morning.
And will cut 10% of flights at dozens of major airports.
Our sole role is to make sure that we keep this airspace as safe as possible.
Experts say airlines would be forced to cancel thousands of flights nationwide in the coming days.
What will this mean practically for air travel? Is this going to lead to more flight delays, more cancellations?
Well, I think it's going to lead to more cancellations. We're going to work with the airlines to do this in a systematic way.
ABC News obtaining the list of the 40 airports that will be impacted, from the nation's busiest airport, Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson, to LAX, Dallas, JFK, Miami, Detroit, and DCA here in Washington. Air traffic controllers have been forced to work without pay during the government shutdown, leading to staffing shortages, delays, and ground stops. More than 60,000 TSA workers also missing their paychecks, creating long lines and wait times at security checkpoints.
We're petrified. We are concerned.
At Dulles International Airport, FAA radar technician and union rep Cleverson Schmidt says the strain has reached a breaking point.
So you were already short-staffed.
Correct.
And how much worse has the shutdown made it?
It's exponentially made it worse because we're exhausted now.
And how much does that compromise air safety?
Every day it goes up. That compromise goes up every single day.
Sources say the FAA will start cutting 4% of flights starting tomorrow and ramp up throughout the weekend. The CEO of Frontier Airlines now encouraging passengers to buy backup tickets on separate airlines if they're flying in the next 10 days. Experts warning of massive headaches for travelers.
I'm sorry, what do you mean? Just fucking cancel the flight. Like what? Oh, you want to get back? You want to get back home? Just buy multiple tickets? That's crazy. No, dude, it's up to you to fucking limit the number of flights that you are making available. Like what? What do you mean? Buy backup tickets? What the fuck? I hate this country, bro. I swear to God. He said, hey, you want to fly back home? Sorry, gotta buy 2 tickets now instead of 1. Yeah, airlines already do overcapacity sales too in order to fucking max out on their profits.
This is going to be an unimaginable, unprecedented, unwelcome, unpleasant level of chaos. If you don't have to fly starting on Friday, please don't. Stay home.
So if you are traveling in the next few days, here is what you can expect. More delays and more cancellations. These restrictions begin tomorrow. They're going to ramp up over the course of the weekend and into next week. The transportation secretary even saying he may be forced to close parts of the U.S. airspace as this government shutdown continues. Now, some airlines like United are offering customers full refunds if they decide they do not want to travel, even if their flights are not impacted. But if you do decide to keep your flights, you are going to want to show up to the airport extra early. And you're going to want to keep checking to make sure that your flight is still scheduled to take off, Michael.
Yeah, this is affecting so many people, Rachel. And Rachel, we're now learning that a government program that helps millions with energy assistance is being suspended.
Yeah, and this is definitely a gut punch, Michael, to so many across the country because millions of low-income Americans are already worried about whether they're going to receive their SNAP benefits, that federal food assistance program. And now the Trump administration announcing that it is halting funding due to the government shutdown for an energy program that helps low-income Americans, about 6 million of them, pay their heating bills. Of course, this comes as we are approaching winter and the colder months and as this shutdown drags into day 37, Michael.
All right, Rachel, thank you all, as always, for your great reporting. I appreciate you.
Rayuta de Sol Spanish Immersion Early Learning Center had just opened for the day. Parents were dropped.
Well, What the fuck is wrong with your country? How can the government just choose to shut down? What the fuck? It's not a real country. What do I say to that? I mean, you're right. It's a fucking clown show, dude. I don't know. Every day that I watch this administration move the way that it does is another day where I'm coming closer and closer to this thing that I otherwise would have considered a conspiracy theory before. But now I think it is the truth. They want riots. I think they want riots. They want riots so they can violently put the riots down so they can do martial law. That's what I think.
And it will become 5. Yeah.
Mr. President, can I say that Zoran Mandami, you said that, you called him a communist. You said that if he won, you would.
Yeah, they're all moving the fucking military bases, bro.
White House.
All the Trump administration officials are moving to military bases. I genuinely think they want riots. But what's really interesting is like they've also been so disrespectful to the military as well. So I don't even know how they're going to be actually safe. Because like the American military is very diverse, right? Sure, they have to follow orders. That's the whole point. But the military is still comprised of the regular demographics of the country. So they're diverse. They got undocumented migrant family members. I don't know why the administration just assumes that they're going to follow along no matter what.
Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem now live on military bases. They are among at least 6 senior Trump administration appointees to do so.
In the case of Stephen Miller in Northern Virginia, there was a protest group that was putting out flyers with his address, chalking his sidewalks. And then Kristi Noem moved around the same time, but she moved out of her apartment in Southeast because there were pictures run in the Daily Mail basically showing the building she was living in, and that made her uncomfortable. Activists regularly protest outside their houses and regularly do things to make them uncomfortable. Officials can be made to be uncomfortable. What I think the shift here is that people are pulling this escape hatch. There wasn't a lot of examples in the last couple of administrations of officials who, when they faced protests like this, deciding to leave their home.
White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem now live on military bases. They are among at least 6.
That's weird. Very strange for a politician to say. As Governor Kathy steps up to speak, a few in the crowd chant tax the rich. I hear you, she responds, but I'm the type of person, the more you push me, the more I'm not going to do what you want. Wait, what? Kathy Hochul says, I'm not going to do it because you asked of me to do it. I don't know if she knows this, but that's the opposite of how the democratic process works. She knows she's elected, right? Very strange.
Drastic action against New York City. What kind of actions are you looking at, and will the ICE deportations continue?
Well, I think you have to look. If he is a communist, there's not going to be a lot of activity. So you wouldn't need bridges and tunnels and all the different things that were being planned for New York, I think. And look, I hope New York does well. That's all I can say. I love New York. I grew up in New York. I did well in New York.
What are you saying? I have seen the National Guard in DC, yes. Brother, what does that even mean? Like, I mean, I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say the guy is a communist, and therefore I'm going to shut down all of the existing infrastructure projects that we were funding, where there was budget allocation for, by the way. Not that like Trump is personally funding it. He's not a god. He's not a king. He's saying he's going to stop the previously allocated funds that are supposed to go to building roads and bridges in New York State, specifically in New York City. He's saying he's going to try and stop it.
Did well, and I hope New York does well. That's what.
And ICE raids, will they continue?
ICE raids? Well, you want to get criminals out. If they're criminals, we want to get them out. Ideally, we wouldn't have to do them because he'll send the criminals out himself. But that seems to be unlikely. No, we have to get criminals out. Millions of people were let into our country from prisons and from mental institutions and drug dealers, a lot of drug dealers and murderers, 11,888 murderers. 50% of them committed more than one murder. We want to get them out. So whether they're in New York or anywhere else, we want to get them out. We've created a great place in Washington. All of you know, you see the difference between what it was now and what it was a year ago under Biden. It was a death trap, and now it's people walk down the street, they have dinner, the restaurants are booming. Washington, D.C. is great. I will tell you, Memphis is doing really well too. You're hearing those reports. It's companies were going to move out. They're not going to move out anymore. We've done a great job, and we've only been there for 4 weeks. So we've done a great job with that. But they have killers in New York. We want to get them out. If they have murderers, if they have people from jails that they allowed out of their jails in order to save a lot of money, we want them out of here. We want to put them back in their jails, not our.
After what happened during the election, some Dems are saying.
Incredible. How long do you think this shutdown will last? I am hearing whispers that there are some there are some on the Dem side that might cave. Expected ones too. I got insider info. I think Cuck's had enough. You're basically training the entire country to know that you got nothing. You got no motion. You got no bitches. You got no smoke. Your smoke's not loud. Okay? Your bitches are not bad. You have been found devoid of motion. Like, I'm telling you, it's just, I mean, all jokes aside, it's just, like, what was the reason for this fucking back and forth? I think Marge is at the door.
They have the momentum, and that Tuesday's election shows voters have turned on President Trump. So what might this mean for next year's midterms? Because a lot of people are shifting to that now. CNN's Harry Enton here with us. I need to make sure I give you your due, Chief Data Correspondent Harry Enton. What did Tuesday's elections tell you about how important Trump will be for down ballot Republicans?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of Republicans who saw those polls that, showed Donald Trump low nationally, and they didn't necessarily believe him. But for Democrats, those polls are real, and they are spectacular. And the reason I say that is because take a look here. Voted for the Democratic nominee among Trump disapprovers. I got 2017, Trump's first term, and 2025 in New Jersey.
I think it's one of the dumbest moments to actually capitulate to the Republicans. Like, I can't think of a mathematically worse moment to do it. Like, one, people do actually find the Republicans accountable for the shutdown for once. So that's number one. Number two, what was this all for if the Republicans could just learn the lesson that, oh, we can just like kill the poor and the Democrats can't do anything about it? And lastly, you're doing this right after the voters actually rewarded you for taking action against the Republicans. They blame the Republicans for the shutdown. If you just fucking stop it without any concessions, then they're going to blame you for it. They're going to be like, oh, you fucking idiot. So you did actually shut down the government. Can you imagine? They're actually trying to end the shutdown. The Democrats are, to protect the filibuster. Donald Trump says he's going to abolish the filibuster. Democrats come in hot and say, oh, all right, we're done with the shutdown. No more shutdown. And then they say, oh, it's because people were suffering too much. But it's because they want to keep the filibuster. No, that's too evil. That's too evil. Could you imagine going along with the shutdown for 37 days only to turn around and be like, actually, you don't have to give us anything. We'll just drop it. Please don't take away the filibuster from us, Mr. President. And the timing of it couldn't be worse. It's like right after a major wave of Democrat swings. The population very clearly, correctly holds the Trump administration accountable for this shutdown. And they want the Democrats to fight back. And the Republicans are openly like, fight back. Well, I guess we're gonna starve people next. And the Democrats can't even message that. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand, man.
Approval ratings, this says, nah, they're going to be like impalas getting chased down in the African desert by a big lion. Look at this, 93% of Trump disapprovers voted for the Democratic nominee in New Jersey, and 92% voted for them in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. The bottom line is this: what those results on Tuesday night showed us is that Donald Trump is absolutely a drag on Republican candidates in New Jersey and Virginia, likely nationwide. If you are in a state where Donald Trump is underwater, you are in big trouble.
What does this mean nationally, though? Because that is what people are really going to be concentrating on now when we look forward to 2026 in the midterm.
Yeah, okay. So the big question is, what does it mean nationally, as you said, Sarah? Well, I mean, at this particular point, Donald Trump is at term 2 lows nationally in terms of his net approval rating. Look at this. These are polls that are out this week. Look, the CNN, he was 26 points underwater. CBS, 18 points underwater. ABC, 18 points underwater. The NBC Hart Public Opinion Strategies poll, he was 12 points underwater. My goodness gracious, he's down there with the Titanic, and this is what is turning in for the Republican Party. That result on Tuesday night was a Titanic proportion, just absolutely awful result. New Jersey, Virginia, Pennsylvania, in terms of those judgeships, those Supreme Court judgeships, essentially, you know, retain those judges. All the Democratic line candidates won. Democrats won their first statewide races that weren't federal in Georgia for the first time in a generation. What we are talking about at this particular point is Donald Trump is absolutely a drag. I spoke about it on Monday. That's what we thought was going to happen, and that is exactly what did happen. Donald Trump at this point is an absolute drag on these Republican candidates. We saw it on Tuesday night, and nationally I expect that result to hold because at this point, Donald Trump is at his term 2 lows.
You're talking about the Titanic. Democrats, before this, right, were on the Titanic. Their approval ratings lower than Republicans. What does that all mean?
Okay, what does that all mean, right? I think there are a lot of Republicans saying, okay, Donald Trump ain't that popular, but the Democrats aren't popular either. And those Democratic low favorable ratings, those will save us. Well, we had a test of that on Tuesday night. So what do we see here? Okay, vote for the Democratic nominee. View neither party favorably. Here's the margin.
Is it confirmed? 7-4 saying 2 hours ago they're holding the line. I don't know. We'll see. The reason why I'm not naming names is because I don't have anything beyond rumors. News. Dems are inclined to keep their shutdown fight going, according to multiple people familiar. Republicans are weighing a funding vote tomorrow, but Democrats are leaning towards blocking it at this point without more reassurance on ACA and federal workers. Dems don't think ours have moved at all since Tuesday's election. Ours say they can guarantee an ACA vote, not an outcome. It makes a lot of sense for us to come together on a joint strategy than have division in the caucus, says Senator Murphy. What's really interesting is that Bernie Sanders is one of the boldest names in this fight. He has straight up said, no, not just the bill. Like, you're going to pass it, and Trump is going to give assurances that he will not veto the funding.